2.
You guys, I'm not. Okay. You guys, I'm not quite sure why she picked me to do this. Say that for the end.
Yeah.
I have to wait to ask you questions.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. Quiet on the set. Anyways, everybody, hello and welcome back to Global Gyal. I am here with another wonderful female black traveler who's also a friend of mine. And we are
I
here.
made it to friend status? Yeah. Oh, I graduated, you guys.
Update. We are here in Medellin, Colombia, and we're going to find out her story of how she ended up here on this yellow couch in Medellin.
Thank you so much for having me, Alyssa. My name is Ashlee, and I've been traveling technically all my life, but in the most recent years, it's been for like 5 years.
5 years.
And I can't wait to share this journey with you.
Yes, and I'm excited to find out more. Okay, so before we jump in to the 5 years and how you got here in Medellin and stuff like that, I want to take it back to share your story with the people. So we kind of want to start with, where were you born?
So I was born in a very small town, like rural Virginia. It's called Warsaw, Virginia.
Warsaw.
And it sits on the Northern Neck Peninsula. So for all of you guys who know Virginia geography, there are 3 peninsulas in Virginia. We're the first one.
Oh, okay, all right. Virginia, USA, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So born in small. When you say small town, what do you mean?
Like pigs and cows.
And what's the population?
For miles, there are no houses.
Really?
Yeah, it's very rural. My high school had 1 hallway. My graduating class had 98 people. Black people were scared. It's basically me. I'm just kidding. No, I think altogether maybe like in the entire high school, maybe we had like 30 black people.
Wow.
Yeah, no, very rural.
Small, and you're saying rural. My graduating class had about 120.
Yeah.
But that was one of the larger schools in the country.
Okay, same, but different.
Yes,
okay.
yes, exactly. But I never thought that I could share that experience with somebody who comes from such a large country.
Yeah,
but
no.
there is the rural life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And so was that place home for forever, or did you kind of move around, bounce around?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question, mainly because I've asked myself that question of like, what is home?
Yeah.
Because growing up, I didn't really feel at home in Warsaw. I knew I didn't belong there. And just to give you some backstory, can I share this?
Yes, yes, you can.
Both of my parents were officers in the military at varying points in their lives, but they both had like that appreciation and love for travel. So I grew up at a very young age. Like my first flight was like at 3 years old.
Okay.
And that was, I mean, it was to California, but eventually like we went to Venezuela when it was okay to go to Venezuela.
To visit or to live?
To visit for vacation. We stayed at this resort.
Venezuela?
Yes, that was my first time in South America. Yeah. And then following that, a few years later, we went to Spain. So and even right now, my parents are in, I think I told you guys, Argentina. So it's kind of been like a huge value in my family to kind of travel and experience different cultures and really just give ourselves exposure, because Warsaw, again, is so small and there's a lot of limited thinking.
Yes.
So I kind of felt like growing up I was always splitting or like in 2 different worlds. I was kind of going back and forth because I would spend my summers in all these different places. But then I would go back to the small town.
Yes.
And at the time, it was a bit of a challenge because, you know, you're trying to communicate and connect with the people around you, but they're not having those experiences. So that was a bit of a...
And you're constantly growing almost. Every time you come back, you're a whole different person because you know so many different things.
Yeah.
That's an interesting perspective as well. So then it was difficult to connect with people sometimes.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Wow. And so growing up, okay, so you said pigs and cows. Did y'all have pigs and cows?
No, we did not have pigs and cows, but my dad had me out in the yard because we have acres.
Yeah.
We have like over 15 acres of land.
Nice.
So my dad would have me out on the tractor. It was mandatory that I learned how to use the lawnmower. He actually had me like out one summer laying bricks. So
okay, Dad. Okay.
I know.
Put it to work.
I know. It's actually slavery. I honestly think it might have been some.
It's not
slavery, but some child labor issues.
No, but wouldn't you say that has made you? If somebody asked you to lay bricks or hold a hammer or something, aren't you more like, of course I could do this. I've done this since I was young.
No, last week we were talking about if the zombie apocalypse came, what would be my tool?
At an event that we hosted or one of our friends hosted, Black people event in Medellin, Colombia for expats. Anyways.
But one of the questions were like, you know, what would be your survival skill? What would be the most useful thing?
Yeah.
And I really think because I grew up in that environment, and I also was the president of the 4-H club. So
the 4-H club?
4-H club.
What's that?
It's like an agricultural type of holistic, like, wellness organization.
Really in the country.
No, I really was. It's actually national. They have chapters across the U.S.
Okay, I did not know.
Yeah,
sorry,
no.
4-H.
But I was present, so it, like, being a part of that organization, like, they taught us how to do, like, archery, cooking, canoeing, kayaking. They even taught us how to milk a cow. So I feel like I was able to leverage a lot of useful skills from those experiences.
Yeah. So in a zombie apocalypse, you got that.
I got
covered.
you.
You're gonna be going up.
Come with me.
Okay, so that, I love that you had that experience. I feel as though I can relate. My dad had me in the yard a little bit. I wasn't laying bricks, but I was working a very old lawnmower, and it's
get it.
Yeah, it just made me feel.
Was it the push or the ride one?
No, the ride one, but very old.
Yeah.
So, like, the brakes didn't work, so I had to, like, jump on and jump off and all sorts of stuff.
It sounds really dangerous.
Yeah, but it always made me feel as though, basically, I guess back home we say no man can style me. Like, no man can ever say I can't do this or I won't do this for you. I'm like, I could do this for myself. You can do it yourself,
that resilience.
So yeah,
that self-reliance.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so grew up in a very, very small town, primary, secondary school, and then after high school, what path did you take?
Oh my goodness, this is really funny because, like I said, both of my parents are military officers.
Yes.
My brother was also in the Army.
Grew up right in
everyone. So, you know, by the time senior year came, my parents are looking at me like, okay, which branch? And I was like,
really?
None of them. So I was like, check the deuces. I was over it. I went to college.
Okay.
I went to Old Dominion University, which is located...
Old Dominion,
Monarchs. That was where I went. Don't worry about it. Though there's someone out there that went to ODU.
If you went to ODU,
they get it.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. So I went there.
Is that in Virginia still?
That's in Virginia. It's in Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay.
So it's about 2 hours south from where I grew up. So I wasn't too far.
Yeah.
But also my mother's from Norfolk, so I have family in that area. It was so convenient.
Yeah.
But I chose to study international studies and political science because I wanted a career that would allow me to travel.
Oh, so
that's why
from early,
like, the seed was planted. I didn't even realize that. Like, you know, it's just really beautiful to see like how one desire, how one passion can like really set the trajectory of your life. And so at first I was like, you know, I think I'm going to become a diplomat, which is what everyone wants to be when they go into this industry. Because that's what they think this is the only thing they can do. So I was that girl who was a part of like the Model UN.
Oh,
I was out here
I
was. I actually went to New York through college to go to the General Assembly. I was doing all that stuff. Very nerdy, not hot at all.
Yes.
But and then I studied abroad in the UK.
You did? I didn't know you did that.
Yeah, I studied at the University of Essex.
Oh,
yeah.
How was that experience?
It was amazing. To be honest, I bullshitted the whole time. Mainly because you're in Europe, and that was the first time where I, as like an adult now, a young adult, but like I had the freedom, I could just do whatever I wanted. So I met some really, really amazing people, and on the weekends we would like fly to Scotland. We would we went to Greece for like $60, Ryanair, you know, and so every weekend we were always doing something. So it was a great experience, but academically, not so good.
Definitely.
But it didn't matter because it didn't impact my GPA, so it was all good.
There we go. Most importantly.
Yes. But after that experience, I came back, I graduated, and now I was just sat into the world, you know? I don't know, should I stop?
What was your...
It's like each stage, I'm like, now we're getting into adulthood.
What was your first... Okay, so I'm particularly interested in Ashlee's story because I too studied international development, and I took like a left route when it came to that. So I'm curious as to what your first job in that field was.
Yes, this is an exciting one because I owe so much to this organization. If it was not for them, I would not be here right now.
Okay.
But I started in global philanthropy.
Okay.
And I was working for Global Giving Foundation, which is worldwide.
Yeah,
They're known.
yeah.
They do incredible work. and I was a program fellow there. So I was a part of this fellowship program for 13 months.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, my lens just opened, my eyes opened, the opportunities were just endless. And they sent me to Ethiopia for about a little over a month.
Nice.
And when I say, it was me and my colleague, a good friend of mine, we went out there. There was no security, there's no, like, you have to kind of forage for yourself. You have to, like, which is completely different than the career, like, you know, the job I work in now, where once you touch down, you have a security team, you have, like, there's a whole operation in place. Okay. But now it's just, you know, at the time it was just, you know, us two. Yeah, so we started in Addis, and we were doing workshops, and we were, you know, meeting with local community members and organization members, and really trying to build their capacity on how they can just expand their donor reach and how they can kind of leverage more funding and support. So I traveled to Addis, I was in Lalibela, and I was in Gondar and Bahirdar. I was all in the northern region of Ethiopia. All for work. That's amazing. And that's what that's what cemented that I'm on the right path. Yes. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Yes. So yeah.
I love that. Okay, and so how long were you with that organization for? Was it just the 13 months?
Yeah, it was just the 13 months. And actually, going back to Ethiopia, when I was there, I met these two young girls, and they had like a bag of maybe wheat or seeds, some type of grain. They were walking down this long dirt road in Lalibela, and I just remember, obviously there's a language barrier, so we can't connect too deeply, but the energy between us was just so pure. And I remember saying to myself, I'm like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And I remember coming back from my trip and talking to my mentor, who also worked at Global Giving, and I said, how can I do this? How can I have these assignments where I just travel the world? And she said, you should really look into USA contracting. And then she connected me with her sister. And a coffee chat, which, not thinking anything of it, but a coffee chat led to an interview, led to me getting my first assignment in South Sudan. And then I was on that project. It's a conflict mitigation program. And I was on that project for 3 years. So I was going back and forth from DC to Juba. By the way, Global Giving was located in DC. So I don't know how we can insert that in there, but
that's okay. Yeah, you were in DC, whatever.
Yeah, so I was going back and forth. And I was like, okay, I'm having all of these rich experiences. I'm going out to like remote, like unheard of places. The first time I went to Juba, they did not have an airport. They had 2 tents. It was an Ebola tent, and it was like the tent where you, like, other people would like check in
and stuff like that. When the plane lands, you just come off the plane.
That's it. And there's paper. There was just paper they were writing. This was back in 2017.
I was going to say.
2017. Now they have an airport. You know, they were actually building it the time that I had the first time I went. But it wasn't like operational.
So I honestly don't know. This is coming from ignorance, but Juba is the capital.
Juba is the capital of South Sudan.
Wow, 2017.
Yes. Whoa. And it's also the world's newest country. They gained their independence in 2011. So a lot of things are just very new for them. You know?
Okay, that's fair.
They don't have a national identity. Well, they're building that. You know, their culture they're building. You know, they were a part of Sudan for so long. So it was really interesting to just be there and experience them having this kind of dynamic of who are we? And
figuring that out and being on the ground and getting that experience. That sounds amazing, and the work. But it also, I'm just hearing that you continuously created that life for yourself because you knew that's what you wanted.
That would not have been possible without community. And like, that's the biggest thing. If you guys don't take anything from this, please take away the importance of community, because it really does take a village. Like for me, if it wasn't for my mentor,
1,000%.
and it wasn't for her sister, like there's been people along the way that have helped me get through the door.
Of course.
You know.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that says a lot. But you were also open and honest. And like you said, I've had instances like that too, where you go in not anticipating anything, but then the most comes out of it. So that's amazing. Okay, so 3 months in South Sudan. 3 years going back and forth. Okay. And so let's talk about just before the space you were in, just before coming to Medellin, Colombia.
Man.
What made you...
Girl, I don't think we have enough time. Where were you
that let me ask first, is this the first country that you personally decided I am moving from the US to live in? All the other times you've mentioned have been about work. So this is the first country.
So I will, just to give context here, I've been solo traveling since 2017. Okay. So I've always been one to look at a map and be like, with no influence, not work related, nothing, just like, oh, I want to go here. So my first solo trip was Iceland. Okay. And then it kind of, that like kicked it off. I just got obsessed. And I think for most people, that solo travel typically starts with a breakup or some type of relationship breakdown here. Sometimes. And you just go on this self-discovery journey, and that's what it did. So coming here was kind of an evolution. It wasn't just like some random thing. It kind of made sense that this would be the trajectory. And I would say, since I was a kid, I knew that I did not want to live in the U.S. Okay. Very early on. I always, and that's one thing that's never wavered. I've never had doubts surrounding it. So I was actually on a work assignment in Moldova, which is my current program. And I received this email from my leasing office from the apartment that I was in D.C., basically saying that they were going to kick me out. Or kick me out, but like, hey, you can like transfer to this like newly like refurbished apartment for like $2,000. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I don't know. I just like really went into like some deep self-reflection mode. And I was also like coming off the heels of like dating this guy that didn't work out. So I just felt like I got to this crossroads and I'm like, okay, I have to make a decision. And I'm like, it's now or never. Yeah, definitely. So luckily I had like 110% support from my company, which made this so easy. And I booked a flight, and I actually started in Mexico. I was in Tulum, Mexico first, because I wanted to ease myself into this. It's a one-way ticket somewhere. I had friends there. I had community there because I'd been there before. So I eased myself into it, and I spent about 3 weeks there, and then I transitioned to Medellin. And it was honestly the first couple weeks were so... I questioned if I was making the right decision. Because it was just so scary. It wasn't like I had a return ticket or like it was a vacation. It was like, this is it, at least for now. So yeah, that's...
And what made you decide Colombia? Had you traveled to South or Central America before?
Yeah, so actually, I told you I went to Venezuela as a kid. So I had a little bit of an introduction, but I was also 8. So it kind of counts, but it doesn't count. But when I was, I think 27, 28, I went to Peru. I did a 10-day solo trip to Peru. And that was like my, like as an adult, like, my true experience. And I had a layover in Bogota on my way back to DC from Peru. And I remember landing, I was like, whoa, this is so green. It's so green and lush. I was like, I need to come back here. But I didn't like act on it immediately. It still wasn't a priority country. It wasn't until I dated this guy who went to Cartagena, and he came back and he was like showing me all of his pictures, and he was telling me about his experiences. And I was like, okay, it's on my radar. It's on my radar. But I was still looking at other countries more deeply. Like, I was prioritizing other places. But it really goes back to me not having my apartment anymore. And looking at the map and saying, okay, what's going to be the most cost-effective place? What's going to be the place that, has the most vibrant culture, that's enriching, that I can really see myself there, like, longer term, not just for a week vacation. And it was Colombia. I explored every single avenue.
And I feel like you do your research.
I did. And I mean, to be honest, the fact that the dollar just goes so far, and the fact that it was so affordable, and dealing with the inflation back in the U.S., it just made sense. So that was my decision making.
How long have you been living here in Colombia, or how long has it been since you moved from the U.S.?
So I left the U.S. September 3rd, September 6th. And I told you I started in Mexico. But then I came here September 17th. So I've been here for like a little over 5 months now.
5 months?
Almost 6 months, I think.
It's just about 6 months. It probably might be more.
I know.
Honestly.
It's crazy. And the crazy thing is, I was only going to do 3 months. And I was going to do a month in Medellin, a month in Bogota, and a month in Cartagena.
I remember that.
And something about this city just had me in a chokehold. I could not leave. I don't know. There's just something, and I'm still struggling to put words to it. There's an energy about the city that just makes you want to be present. It makes you feel whole. It makes you feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm more healthier here, you know? Even like if something at work throws me off, I'm still grounded, I'm centered. And I don't know many places that kind of bring that side of me out. But Medellin does.
Yeah. When we were talking with Ariana in a previous video, make sure to go check that out. She was talking about the land. Certain places it's the country, but certain places it's the land. And land can either kick you out or like embrace you. And it sounds like the land embraced you. And
it did.
I love that you were saying there's a thought that crossed your mind when you landed in Bogota, and it's so green, and that sounded like the seed that planted in your head, like, oh, maybe I should consider Colombia.
No, I realized, like, you know, because I'm definitely in this place of like awakening and really tapping into myself and spending a lot of time with myself, like doing the unpacking, and I'm like, what does Ashlee like? Ashlee likes being around nature. Ashlee likes being around things that are lush and green. And that makes me happy. That makes me feel at peace. And I want to make sure, like, even if Medellin is not the last of, you know, the last place or where I, you know, plant roots, I want to make sure that I do cultivate a space like that, that I put myself in an environment like that, that has that energy.
Yeah, that's amazing. Definitely Medellin is a city. Right now it was sunshine, then it's rain, and then sunshine, and there's green everywhere. I wanted to ask, how was it easy, or let me even go back. You said there was difficulty when you first arrived. One, did you speak the language?
Do I speak the language?
Do you speak the language? No.
I'm learning. Estoy aprendiendo español.
Okay, there we go. She's learning. But you came without, like...
I came with very little.
Very little, okay.
But I have learned that very little can take you very far.
Yeah. Very, very true. And so was it easy for you to find a community here for you to connect with, or was it a bit more difficult, especially with that language barrier?
So I've never, this sounds arrogant to say, but I've never struggled to find like people, like friends. So I had, like, instantly when I got here, I found people to hang out with, but I wasn't connecting with them.
Yeah, there's a difference.
So I did feel a little bit of loneliness when I first got here. I was spending a lot more time in my apartment, in my Airbnb, and a lot more solo dates than I wanted to have. So I feel like I had to be more intentional about the type of people I was attracting. And no shade to those people, but we weren't in alignment with our values, how we saw the world, and overall just energy wasn't there. So that was something that was a challenge, and it wasn't until probably late October, early November that I started attracting, you know, the right people, finding community, finding WhatsApp groups like the Black Women in Colombia and other, you know, groups that, you know, hosting events. Like I did a paint and sip, like that connected me with some other people. So it took a while, but I'm really happy with the people I've connected with so far. And I think that's probably one of the main pillars as to why I can't leave Medellin yet. It's because of the relationships, the friendships that I've been able to build and maintain. I love you.
I love that so much. You definitely sound, and you are somebody who is so what's the word? I just had it in my head. Anyways, you've traveled for such an extended period of time, and it's like a core foundation for you.
It is so core. It is a value. It's one of the values that have never changed since I was a kid. Since I can actually remember, you know, just remember, you know. That's been one value that has never, ever changed. You know, as you grow, your values change, they shift, that one.
Question for you. You wake up on a Saturday morning here in Medellin. What is your favorite thing to do?
Oh my God, walk my dog.
I
know it sounds crazy. I put a podcast in, something that is about spirituality or wellness, something that's going to pour into my spirit, and I walk my dog. And the reason why this is the favorite thing is because there's so many trees here. There's so many trees. Abuelas are talking to you. They're waving. They're petting your dog. It is just a hug when you wake up. It's a hug from Medellin. And I don't, like, I try to explain this to people. I get excited over mundane things. Things that we typically take for granted. Walking my dog, the sun is shining, and the trees, you know how they kind of like, cave in over the street? And I'm like, yes, that's it. That's what I like.
Taking in the everyday stuff. I love that. And you mentioned your dog.
Yes.
Is this a dog you got here in Medellin?
No, so I actually brought my dog here. So I got a pandemic pet, which I don't know if I'm a pandemic pet mama. I don't know if I recommend that, but either way, the past is the past. But I got a dog back in 2021, I think. Yes, 2021. And she's a small, long-haired Chihuahua with so much life and personality. She's such a sweetheart, though. But she's an amazing traveler.
Okay.
I was really worried about how she would react because she has some anxiety. I was nervous about how she would, react and adjust to the airplane. Knocked out.
Was she with you?
She was with me.
She was with you?
She's so small. I put her under the seat and she knocked out.
Nice.
Knocked out. We had some really bad turbulence coming into Bogota. The plane dropped. I shined the light on my phone on her to see if she was okay.
She
knocked
was fine.
out.
She was still fine.
Knocked out.
Anyway.
I said that whatever you have right now, I need. It's the type of sleeping pill I want.
Sis was high in the sky.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was gonna say, if you ever have any questions with flying with your pets, definitely we can connect you. So,
especially if you're coming to Colombia, I have now become the default person for how can I bring a pet into the country. She has, and
as you can tell, she's extremely thorough. So, another question, and coming towards the end as well. What is one piece?
The end?
Yeah.
Oh, we can go forever. What are we gonna talk about next?
We can do a part 2.
Yeah.
If you don't have any questions, we can do a part 2 for sure. But what's one piece of advice that you would give to anybody who's considering doing this, making this type of move, packing up their lives, they're scared? We've kind of all been there, but what would you tell them?
Just do it. I think when you share something like this, you open yourself up to a lot of opinions and perspectives, and some people are wishing you well, some people want to encourage you to do it, but then some people, depending on their life experiences and limitations, might project some fear and negativity. I want to encourage you, if it's in your heart and if it's something that you truly want to do, to just do it. You're going to have feelings of fear, you're going to be afraid, you're definitely going to experience bumps in the road, and that's okay, but these things kind of pour into your growth and your evolution and truly make you who you are. I feel like I've arrived at myself because I took this leap. So
I love that.
If I can encourage anyone, I hope you take that.
Ashlee has a way with words, y'all. I'm over here talk to me.
Yes, no, but I feel really strongly about that because not to ramble, but I'm gonna ramble.
We're listening.
No, because I feel like a lot of people take a very traditional route because they feel like they have to. And I'm definitely going against the grain. You're going against the grain. But I feel like I'd rather go against the grain than lie to myself and set myself on a path that I know isn't authentic to who I am and the desires of my heart. So I, whether it's traveling, moving abroad, taking that solo trip to the next city, over from your hometown, whatever it is, start small, but do it, even if it's going against the grain. So,
1,000%. I co-sign that one. And I guess, I don't know if there's anything else that you would like to add, or Ashlee specifically at the beginning was like, can I ask you questions? And I was like, yes, you can ask me questions. So 2 questions that you can ask me. 2 questions. Girl, or else we would have been here. We would have been here all night.
This. We can go. I thought you said an hour. It's not been an hour.
I actually have no idea how long.
It ain't been an hour.
Y'all, let's do a time check. Oh, it's only been 30 minutes.
We got time. So no, I am, for one, I'm inspired by you. You have this calmness about you. There's a calmness and there's this angelic energy, about you. But there's also like this underlining force. Like you're gonna go do what you gotta do. And it's really inspiring to see you, for one, do this and like where this can take you. And I don't know what you're envisioning for yourself. Maybe that could be my question. But I'm just happy to know you. Aww. And to be a part of this series that you're doing.
Thank you
I see
so
your Instagram posts, I see your YouTube, and I see your TikToks, and I'm like, this girl's got it. She's got it. You're doing,
gosh,
and I know this isn't
so
easy.
much.
I know it's not easy.
Yeah. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank
but
you, Ashlee.
what do you, like if you, in your wildest dreams, could just take this anywhere, what you're doing right now, where would you take it?
I'd build it into a business that has like 12 arms. One of the many would be making a platform for other potentially Black female travelers. At first it was just get to Caribbean people, but I'm realizing maybe I shouldn't just limit it to that, but maybe just Black female travelers to come under the umbrella of Global Gyal. Global Gyal is so broad, you know, and so to help to share their platforms and their content, an umbrella organization or business or whatever that helps to do that, just share other people's stories in terms of other content creators, but also other people's stories, people who have traveled. I love hearing people's stories. This is actually one of the things that I love doing because I feel like I can relate to certain pieces of people's stories, but I want to encourage other people too. And I guess the whole thing is I want to encourage other people to travel or to change their patterns and their habits, because I feel like once you do that, you change your mindset. Once you do that, you will have such a more positive impact on the world. I guess it's my way of implementing world change in a sense.
No, yes, that's true.
Yeah. And another arm, I would love to do have my own show where I have my own cameraman and my own stuff, and I'm helping to produce. I am producing it, and I'm also the talent, but not necessarily the spotlight isn't on me. I'm highlighting these amazing people or places that I'm meeting, and not stuff that you typically see online. I also would love to do something where you set up exchanges. So coming from the Caribbean, I know that the Western world has access to so many things, and I have had access to those things sometimes as well. But people in the Caribbean, people in Africa, in some parts in Africa, and just some South America, just in other aspects of the world, they don't have access to it. So how about we set up exchange programs in high schools to help to plant the seed like your parents did? Or if you can't do that because of money, how do we set it up to just encourage, plant the seed,
like a scholarship
change the mindset,
fund to get kids
something
out.
Like that, because it's possible, and it's like nobody else is doing it for us, so why don't we do it for ourselves? So those are some of the things that I see or I would love to do, but the overarching goal is to just help change people's mindsets through travel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm manifesting this for you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's gonna happen. One day I'm gonna see you on Travel Channel and I'm like, I know her.
Yes. I helped her.
Look out for this girl.
So that's the first question.
Yes.
Second question?
I didn't think that far. But
it's interesting being in the hot seat. I won't lie.
How has your perspective on the world shifted since you've done this? You started traveling.
So much. I thought I knew a lot.
And sorry.
Yeah.
Point 2 to my question. How has that changed you internally?
Oof. Has to do with the deep questions. My perspective on the world has changed tremendously. For instance, growing up in the Caribbean, we see a lot of the US, and we kind of think the US is the end all and be all. You travel there, you shop there, you live there, you go to school there, you get a job there. It's the TV that we watch, it's the music that we listen to. So it's kind of like when you make it in the US, that's it, you know, and everybody else kind of bows down to the US. My first country that I lived in outside of going to school was New Zealand, and I got to see another country that functions in the Western way but was also like, the U.S. Who goes to the U.S.?
Yeah. Like there's war.
And I was in a society that had good roads and electricity, and people love their jobs and a healthy work-life balance lifestyle, and just all these different things. And I'm like, oh, so you don't have to work yourself to the ground and just do that whole, U.S. dream. And some people I've met, they were like, I hate flying through the U.S. I actually don't even fly through the U.S. to go to other places in the world. So it helped to change my perspective that the world is larger than the USA and even Britain, because we were colonized by Britain. So, there's Europe, there's the USA, and then that's kind of it. But
it's almost like growing up and you only see two options.
Yes!
You go to the US, you go to the UK.
Exactly. So... in that it shifted, because again I got to meet different people from different cultures. In New Zealand, it was interesting. In school, I did a project on a country called Eritrea. You would know it, Eritrea.
And a neighbor to Ethiopia, yes.
I picked it because I'd never heard about that country before. When I went to New Zealand, I met somebody from Eritrea, and we became very good friends. And I was like, learning more about that country, being on another side of the world, but I felt like I was on the African continent. So anyways, it just kind of shifted my perspective and made me kind of zoom out, but at the same time it also humbled me in a way, and I think that's what travel does for me. It humbles me, because
oh my god, that's like lesson number 1. Humility.
Yes. So it makes me I make myself smaller to absorb more things that I get in the world, if that makes sense. So instead of me imposing my personality, my Caribbeanness, myself, on a place, on a people that I meet and stuff like that, I kind of take a step back to allow them.
You open yourself up.
Yeah. I'll open myself up to them to learn about whatever it is that they may have to teach me. And so I think that's how travel has kind of impacted me in a sense. In one way, in so many other ways as well. But that would be my answer to it. It's made me more open and just take a step back and know that you don't know everything. Your norm, what your norm is, what you think the world's norm is not. What you eat for breakfast, eggs and bacon, is not what people in China eat for breakfast. And what you think is ketchup has to go with fries. Nope, ketchup does not have to go with fries. Pepper sauce and hot sauce can be the only thing that goes with fries. Anyway, there's just so many things. It's like, I thought I knew so much. I thought this was normal. Nope.
Yeah. I really love that you used the word humility, though, because that is the main thing about this. Like, if you are looking to set yourself out on a journey of self-discovery and just figuring out who you are, traveling is the best way to do it, because the first thing you're going to have to do is humble yourself.
Yeah, because you don't know anything.
Everything's out of your control. Yes. It's out of your control.
1000%.
And you do have to kind of open yourself up to receive and experience other things, cultures, people, perspectives, It's just a different way of life.
And the norm becomes the abnormal. So I remember speaking to another friend of mine about this. Catching the bus becomes difficult, or going grocery shopping becomes difficult. Something that you feel like is so basic. And so I like challenging myself in that way. I was saying it's not like doing something really heroic or super, super challenging, but at the same time, it's getting yourself out of your comfort zone in what you thought was the most basic thing, but it can be hard. I don't know how to ask for check or cash, or when they're asking me something at checkout, I'm like, what is this product? I don't see any product that I recognize to cook to feed myself. But you figure it out and you make it work. And once you do, honestly, I felt not like I've conquered each country and city. Yes, it's like if I can survive in this city, in this country by myself, or I had people with me, communities, no doubt. Then maybe I can go do this next one, and maybe I can go do this next one.
And you keep pushing yourself.
Yes.
It's almost like achieving, like unlocking a new level. With each challenge. You're like, and the confidence that you get from that is just, it's out of this world.
Yeah, and very addictive.
Yeah,
very,
it is.
Very addictive. But there comes a time where you're like, oh, do I need to be doing this to myself all the time?
Yeah.
But it's still, just like you, it's a value for me. I think there's nothing quite like this as a teacher. Travel, it's amazing, y'all. Even if you can't leave your country. Oh, I wanted to say this in something else. So, were you saying it? I can't remember, but a lot of people can't afford to travel, right? So how do they travel? And so I want to put together content and how can you travel without traveling or actually leaving? And you help, see if you could come up with something right now, but I'm thinking books.
No, I would say books for sure, but sometimes it's going to the town next to yours. Sometimes it's going to a different state. Sometimes it's going on that hike that maybe you've been eyeing. Like, it doesn't have to be that big, massive trip thing, to like New Zealand or somewhere in Italy. Like, you can start small. You can start really small. But I also, when it comes, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about, is it misconception? Misconceptions about travel and the expenses. And I because we live in such a globalized world and we're so deeply connected, there are a lot of alternative ways to travel. You have hostels, you have couch surfing. That when my early days of traveling, I mean, we were staying in like some of like the most inexpensive hostels, but I had the most enriching experiences because of that. So you're not going to be staying in a 5-star restaurant, hotel, or going to 5-star restaurants. It doesn't have to be super, lavish. You can make it work. It's just a matter of sitting down and really planning it out and looking at all your options. I've stayed on a lot of people's couches, blow-up beds. Like, you do what you gotta do if you want to do it. But if you're still not in a position, at least right now, music is another one that came to mind. If you just listen to music from Germany or music from South Sudan or music from, I don't know, the Philippines. I mean, you have K-pop that's like taking over the world, Afro beats taking over the world. So
There's definitely another way to explore and travel without having to leave your home even.
I would also say, just plugging in some of the travelers within the Black community, I don't want to, I'm going to butcher the name, but maybe you can drop a link. I don't know, like Kelly Set Go is one. There's just a whole community of like really influential travelers who you can kind of just go on their Instagram and look at and just kind of, get inspiration. Like for me, that's honestly where I would say that's part of it. Like, of course, my upbringing, but I also would go on social media and I would see Black women who look just like me in Kenya, in Japan, like all of these places, and you're like, wow, if she can do it, then I can do it. And I wasn't booking my flight immediately, but I used that as a goalpost, something to strive for, to when I was in a better position or financial circumstances that I could, go and buy that ticket, buy that hotel, and kind of take that leap.
That's another great one. Well, Ashlee, thank you so much for
so much
joining
fun.
me. I'm really happy that you enjoyed it.
I wish it was longer.
If y'all have questions for Ashlee, who knows, we could come together and do another one. But definitely, thank you so much for sharing your story, with everybody who watches Global Gyal. And y'all, I don't know how you can keep in contact with Ashlee because she's not necessarily influencer or anything, but you know what? She's a good friend of mine, so you can tell me to tell her to say hello.
Tell your friend. I said what's up.
Exactly. Anyways, goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. And until the next one.
That is so much fun. Woohoo! Your battery is about to die too.
Perfect. 26. Okay. Oh. So first of all, I wanted to. Her name is Ashlee. I'm like, okay. This is actually a cool setup because this is the first time that my friends are seeing the setup, and they're all like, oh, "Look at this setup!" And I was telling Taj that this camera, I used to just balance it on books and shove it in people's faces, and now I kind of have this
set.
Exactly.
It's a production.
So we'll jump back, and I'll be like, "Okay, so can you please introduce yourself to the people? Tell them like a snippet about you. Like if you had to sell yourself in 8 words.
Oh, is that too much? You can cut it out.
We got a PG audience here, sis. PG audience.